Howdy ho ho, my good humans. How the hell are you doing? This is Unnecessary Rambling. I am Brandon Sylvia. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to the 2024 Video Game Fantasy Draft. I'm joined by my homie Looney today, and we're going to be going through and doing the draft where we pick the games releasing in 2024, and we're hoping to get the best team and the stats at the end of the year added up based on the Metacritic score for each game, and whoever has the highest point total at the end of the year wins the crown, the championship belt for the 2024 Video Game Fantasy Drafter of the Year. But I am jumping in here from the future. Before I kick it over to that recording, I want to plug my homie Looney's channel. I've been telling him for the longest time he's got to get into the content creation game. He's got to get his opinion out there about the video games. He's one of the most knowledgeable humans, especially within the Xbox ecosystem. The dude has like a 400,000+ gamer score, just absolutely asinine. And I've been telling him for years now, man, you got to get that knowledge out there to the people, because every time we shoot the shit about video games, I'm learning things. I'm just super pumped that he's taking that step. The first video is live over on his channel. I will have the link in the description below, and I'm going to be doing a reoccurring podcast with him on his channel, probably monthly or so. We don't have like a set locked in schedule, just whenever we have time to get together, shoot the shit about different news within the Xbox ecosystem or within gaming in general. We will be doing that on his channel, so definitely go over there, subscribe, watch that first video, give us some feedback in the comments section. All of that good stuff would greatly be appreciated. And yeah, I'm really pumped for this. I just wanted to plug it at the beginning of this episode. Howdy ho ho, my good humans. How the hell are you doing? This is Unnecessary Rambling. I'm Brandon Sylvia. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all for joining us for the 2024 Video Game Fantasy Draft. I am joined by my homie Mr. Looney in the building. How you doing, man?
Yeah, great. Great being the winner and all.
Ah, dude. Actually, you know what? We'll go ahead over here. I got absolutely destroyed. It was somewhat close, but I made a couple blunders here in our 2023 Video Game Fantasy Draft, and as you see on the screen here, got it pulled up for you all at home. Team Looney came away with the victory, total of 856 for his games to my total of 831. So I got to give you your victory lap. How are you feeling about your selections in 2023? What gave you the victory?
Not picking Hollow Knight. But no, I'm actually really shocked. Like Resident Evil 4, spot on. That
Hmm.
was a good pick. I'm shocked Alan Wake 2 did as well as it did,
Yeah,
considering how badly it sold
yeah.
as well.
Yeah, it sold poorly. And then I guess that is a good point to bring up about the +5 points, +3 points. You want to remove that this year and go into the next year just using the Open Critic score to keep it
Yeah,
simple for everybody. Yeah.
yeah, may as well.
But that actually that played out in our favor quite a bit here. Just to explain it real quick for how we did it last year. We were predicting the Metacritic as so essentially how it all works is we draft video games and however they perform review wise through Metacritic, which we used last year, we add up all 10 of the games and that gives us our total. But in 2023, we made it to where if we predicted the Metacritic score, if we got it spot on, we got 5 points. And you see it here at the top. If we were 3 points, if we were 1 point off from the Metacritic score, 1 point if we were three or less points off from the Metacritic score. But well, we're going to remove that this year. Just, it's a little, just making things a little bit simpler for everybody to follow along with. A little bit less math on the back end, which never hurt anybody. But yeah, so to quickly wrap it up, you got me by 20 points. I think that, like you said, my selection of Hollow Knight Silk Song having to be swapped with Redfall, and that's how we use the alternatives. Essentially, if a game that we pick in our 10, if it gets delayed, doesn't come out in 2023, we select two alternatives to come in and take the place of the game that got delayed. And Hollow Knight Silk Song did not come out, and in place I had Redfall. I was expecting Redfall to get a 75. It ended up getting a 56.
Yeah,
So,
like imagine, yeah, like the alts are crazy because my alt that had to swap in was a hell of a lot better than what I would have wanted.
dude, yeah, you're so what got delayed for you? Space Marine
Space
2.
Marine 2, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you had Space Marine 2 get delayed and
And
Hogwarts Legacy
Hogwarts came flying in on a broomstick and saved the day.
didn't it, man? Came out at an 85 and you actually got three extra points because you predicted an 86 and it came in at an 85. So absolutely. I mean that thing reviewed really, really well. So that was a great.
There's there's one more thing about Hogwarts Legacy. I don't think it would have got the review score it did if it would have released further into the year. I think that released perfectly at the beginning of the year away from everything else. If that would have gone near Baldur's Gate 3, that would have been eaten alive, I feel.
That's a good point. Yeah, because I feel like when you have the rest of the year to look back on, you might not look at Hogwarts Legacy as fondly, which I loved the hell out of the game, but I definitely I can see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah.
But man, let's actually head on over here to our 2024 video game fantasy draft. All right, guys. So as you see here on the screen, we got the Team Looney versus the Team Ramblers, and our 10 open spots with our two alternate picks ready to go, locked in, and we will begin drafting our 2024 video games. And the only rules, no remasters, no ports. Remakes are allowed, expansions, DLC like Phantom Liberty, that's allowed, Burning Shores, Separate Ways, whatever. Stuff like that is allowed. Um, but yeah, Mr. Looney, you took the victory, and I think I got to give you the first pick. I can't come in here as the loser and snagging the first pick. So and we're going with Open Critic this time opposed to Metacritic because Open Critic takes every game that releases and they use an aggregate of each platform that it comes out on.
All
So,
right.
for instance, like you said with Alan Wake 2 getting a 94, that was we used the Xbox Metacritic for that one, but it only had like 21 reviews. And then the PlayStation, which it wouldn't have mattered, you still would have dominated, but the PlayStation one had like a 91 and the PC I think had even less. And so we went with just the highest performing of the
Ooh,
platforms.
that's interesting then. That should mean that I should knock a few points off of what I've wrote as numbers then, right? If it's going to be
No, I mean
all
no
of
no.
them bunched together. Because some platforms bomb, like Star Wars,
Oh,
the
you're
Jedi
saying
game.
okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying with Open Critic. Yeah, for sure with
yeah.
Open Critic, it should tend to be maybe a little bit on the lower end opposed to like the highest rated platform on Metacritic. But we're not predicting the review scores this time around, so we don't have to get those spot on or anything like that. But yeah, it'll probably tend to skew a little bit lower than the highest
Okay,
performing on Metacritic for sure.
okay then.
But it's
So my
on you,
first
man.
game then. Oh, the small list. Um, I got to go Dragon's Dogma 2. That's like my
Okay.
first pick.
Give me some background, man. What you feeling about Dragon's Dogma 2?
The first game released in a really, really unfortunate time frame because I believe it was either one of the two just before or just after Skyrim. So
Mm.
nobody really touched it. On top of that, it was one of them releases where it had no marketing, kind of like the original like Nier, how it was just dropped out there and just gained like cult appeal, but and had really decent reviews, but just didn't sell any copies, really. And they've drummed up a little bit more interest with the Dark Arisen re-release on the modern consoles. And look, man, Capcom's on a fiery streak right now.
Very much so. Yeah, it's hard not to have faith in Capcom right now. I know, like I said, we're not predicting the scores, but if you had to throw out a guess, or let me say this, what would you hope this comes in at for you in terms of the Open Critic average?
I think the original game got like mid sevens. So if it can creep into the eights, I don't think it's going to be obviously in the 90s and stuff like that. But yeah, like low to mid eights would be phenomenal for the
I
IP.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see mid to high eights. Like you said, Capcom is just on such a tear, and it seems like the anticipation, the hype for this game is extremely high right now. So I think that's a good selection with your first pick, Mr.
Mm.
Looney on the board with Dragon's Dogma 2. So, like you said, we're looking at a year that definitely is not at all stacked. Like we last year, I think we both came in with probably 30, 40 games that we were going through.
Yeah,
I mean,
ridiculous amount.
it was insane. And that was, we were recording this at the same time we're recording this. I think we even recorded earlier last year than we are right now. And we had a
Yeah,
laundry list of titles to go through. Like I said, 30, 40 games that we had to select from to whittle down to our 10 picks. This year, like you said earlier, you have maybe 15 games on your list that you're going through. I have like 20 on mine. We don't 2024 is looking a little bit lighter, but thankfully, early in the year, we have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and that is what I'm going
yeah,
with for my first selection. I think it's just an easy
yep,
kind of slam dunk. Early in the year, we know it's going to come out. We know that it's going to come out complete on the two discs. So it's not going to be one of those situations where, anything could happen. But I assume it's not going to be one of those situations where it's a mess at launch, cleans up later. I just think it's going to come out in a solid state immediately, and I'm predicting definitely at the very least high eights on this one from that one trailer that we got. And obviously I'll have B-roll rolling for you all at home to watch along with. But the trailer that we got, I think it was at the Summer Games Fest showcase, was just unbelievable. An absolutely unbelievable trailer. I'm excited for the game. Yeah, I'm hoping that I get it. I would I'm actually kind of hoping for low nines on this one, but I'll accept high eights.
yeah. I think it'll land in the high eights. Did you finish that first remake?
Yeah. I played through and finished the
Okay,
first one, but I never played the original game. I never played Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation 1 back in the day. So this is all I know the story because I mean it's an infamous
that's yeah,
story. I've
yeah,
had it spoiled for me and stuff. At least to some degree, I've had it spoiled for me. But it seems like they're kind of rewriting things a little bit, making some pivots here and there. So,
yeah.
we'll see. But yeah, I am definitely pumped for it.
Cool, cool, cool. So my second pick. So remakes are definitely allowed, right?
Yeah, remakes are 100% allowed, just not
Well,
remasters or ports.
it's got to be Persona 3 Reloaded then.
All
Or
right.
Reload. Is it Reloaded or Reload?
Either
I
which
need to
way.
check.
My damn grammar is never on point. So we're gonna go with P3 reload for a quick type in there.
But yeah, man, what a crazy good series. Like having, I believe I only played through it this year, both Persona 3 and Persona 4.
Oh,
And
really?
that was Persona 3 Portable. Yeah, they got added to Game Pass, and I only just finished them up this year, and just wow. And it's probably my biggest like love regret because it's cost me so much money.
Oh, with the
I've
collector's
gone out and
editions.
I've bought all of the mangas,
Oh,
all of the
wow.
animations that came out, which the Persona 4 animation is so hard to get a hold of in the UK. That was a hole in the wallet. And then Limited Run was like, here's Persona 3 physical for Xbox Collector's Edition. And then 2 weeks later, here's Persona 4 Collector's. And I was like, come on, man, it's leading up to Christmas. I can't be doing this.
So let me make sure I'm getting this correct. You played Persona 3 this year for the first time.
I
And
believe whenever it got added to Game Pass, I started it up, but I never finished it. And then I went back and was like, I gotta knock this out before these other things. Otherwise, it'll be like with how you maybe feel about the Yakuza series, where there's so many backlogged. It's like Jesus Christ, like I've got so much.
yeah,
But it was
spot
so addictive.
So you finished Persona 3 this year and then
Yeah,
oh, so you're going to be super fresh. You'll have a great
yeah,
dude, I love doing that. I just played through Vice City and I'm so excited to play through 6, and see Vice City recreated just to have that comparison, to be able to compare between the two. And so you being able to do that with Persona 3 with the remake and having that fresh eye. I love jumping into games like that.
yeah. I'm also in like the very, very small minority camp. I really don't like Persona 5.
Wow.
Like,
Interesting.
it's really straight. Like, the way Portable was set up is you don't walk around the environment. It's like a cursor. And because that cuts out all of like the movement filler fluff and just gets you to like each scene, I felt like it cut down the fat and was really good. And then Persona 4 was a really good balance because it did let you move around, but the environments were nice and compact. Whereas
Mm.
Persona 5, it just feels like there's way too much going on.
Huh. Okay, so and Persona 3 is being remade in the vein of P5, correct? But I'm assuming it'll obviously scaled down because it's
I would
still
hope so. If they've just turned it into Persona 5, I'll be slightly disappointed.
I think you're locked in there for at the very least high eights. I couldn't imagine anything less than that. Well, man, heading on in to my second pick here. And I think you sparked my brain a little bit there. And yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and go with it. Like a Dragon,
Infinite Wealth.
Infinite Wealth. That's gonna have to be that's gonna have to be my second choice here. I'm not even like you said, I'm not a fan of this. It's not that I'm not a fan of the series. I'm just so backlogged to
Yeah, it's
to
such a
hell and back.
roadblock to become a fan of the series. Yeah,
Absolutely. And the two games that came to Game Pass this year, it's like I wanted to jump into both of those, but I have that weird thing in me where I'm like I want to play every single entry before I get to the next entry. And I want to play the Yakuza games. I absolutely do. I love that style of game. Judgment, when Judgment came out, that was perfect for me because it was like this is a spinoff. I'm gonna go jump into Judgment. I don't have to be connected with the Yakuza world, and I loved those games. Lost Judgment in particular in 2021 was my game of the year. So I mean, I love the games, but unfortunately, with the mainline series, I don't see myself getting around to it anytime soon. That's a retirement goal for me to play through the Yakuza series. But yeah, Infinite Wealth. I know that 7 reviewed incredibly well.
Mm.
What did they call 7? Like a
It
Dragon.
was Yakuza Like a Dragon, and it was
Okay,
because they completely overhauled because in his mind he's actually playing Dragon Quest. When he's
right.
fighting in the turn-based thing, it's because he genuinely comes out and says, "I'm the hero of this quest" and stuff like that. And that's why you're able to do like the job swapping things.
It's
And it's
so
just
cool.
bizarre, crazy, and it's just amazing because so many people were like, "Look, you're sitting on a Yakuza fighting engine, which is just perfect, and you're going to change that for like a restricted turn-based. Like, how's that going to work? You can't possibly get away with that." And they did. They just
Yeah.
did.
And you're talking about this new game and has like Sims features going on, like farming Sims. I mean, it's just such a cool series. Like when I see it pop up, I just get excited because I'm like, okay, that is something truly different in the game space that it feels so specifically Yakuza, so
Yeah.
specifically its own thing. I just love that clear vision.
Yeah, not many games can get away with having such a ridiculous amount of mini games. And not only they're not just throwaway mini games, like these things are like extremely well made. Like the management sim in Like a Dragon is really good. They really like their go-kart racing kind of things. The little the little Hot Wheel tracks, like they're always just amazingly made and it's crazy.
So sick,
It's
man.
always
So
a
sick.
blast.
This is one of those game franchises, like, even though I'm on the outside looking in, I'm just so excited. Like, I look at everybody playing, I'm like, hell yeah, that looks real cool. Good job. So, yeah, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, my number 2 pick. What you got for number 3 for Team Looney?
do I keep it safe and just keep going for confirmed dates, or do I like go out on a limb and be like, yeah,
Listen, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You followed your heart last year and it got you a victory, man.
that's because that was like extremely safely played. Uh, See, I'm not gonna lie. Avowed. I really need to just put that down.
Okay, so is this a heart pick or a safe pick, do you feel?
Before they showed the trailer, it would have been a hot pick. I really, I don't know if I mentioned it when we did it last. That trailer just really hit my enthusiasm because I 100% both Pillars games. Like you're talking hundreds of hours of all the different endings and it just the art style that they've decided to go with just isn't what Pillars is. It's not meant to be like light and comical and it's extremely dark. Really, really dark stories and settings and stuff like that. And it feels like Microsoft has kind of lent on them and being like, okay, guys, we are not getting an Elder Scrolls game in quite a while. Can you like just put something out there in the meantime? Because I don't know if you saw the news story that broke. I think it was like earlier this morning. What was it?
Uh-uh.
Chris? Is it Chris Avalon, the
Yeah,
guy who
the
head of
yep, for
Obsidian?
Fallout New Vegas
He
and all that.
reached out. Yeah, he reached out to Bethesda asking if they would like him and his team to do like a in-between release like they did with New Vegas for an Elder Scrolls game, and they got completely denied by Bethesda. They don't want them doing it.
Why? What, because was it because well, I mean Fallout New Vegas, I'm assuming it performed pretty well commercially.
So it was. Do you not know the story behind that? It was the 18-month development time, and they were promised bonuses if it hit like
The
85 or
Metacritic.
something, and they were one off or something crazy like that, and they just
Yep.
were like, "Yeah, we're not paying you guys the bonuses or anything."
I
Had
do remember
no,
hearing that.
yeah. Now they could use that as like a scapegoat and being like, "Oh, they wouldn't hit like the goals that we set," but I think it really smells of they don't want to be shown up again. Like Bethesda right now are in a fairly rocky state. Like even the division between Starfield and its reception, and they've only gone and dug that hole even deeper by publicly responding to reviews, which I don't know why you do that as such a big publisher. Like
Yeah.
just just don't poke the nest. That's really, really stupid.
Yeah, I saw that
Um,
too, man. That was
it's
really
bizarre.
weird.
It's like the implosion of like an indie game studio handling it in that way of not knowing how to handle pressure. It just wasn't, yeah, very strange.
Yeah, and I mean,
But I don't think they want to be shown up again. If I'm being 100%, I just don't think they want another team to pick up and then because most people consider New Vegas to be the best Fallout game to date, unless you're very big into the isometric early games. They did everything a Fallout game should have done in 3D.
yeah, you're not wrong. That does seem to be like the kind of critical or at least the fan reception to New Vegas is like that's the ultimate Fallout experience, especially regarding like the story. And so yeah, I mean that's an interesting point. So you thinking Bethesda might have put the kibosh on that idea because they're worried about Obsidian creating, the Fallout New Vegas 2 and it just being head over heels, just like light years ahead of whatever Fallout 5 is.
They didn't pitch a Fallout idea. It was actually an Elder Scrolls. They said that they would have made a spin-off Elder Scrolls title.
Ooh.
So if they could have that it would have really been a big ego blow to Bethesda because it's like they made the best Fallout title and now they want to steal the limelight with the best like Elder Scrolls title potentially. Like
Hey,
imagine if they did actually outperform them, it then they're all under the same umbrella now. Microsoft will be like, well, Obsidian, you get a lot more funding now. Like you guys are putting in the work.
Yeah, and Elder Scrolls is really like the BGS golden child.
Yep.
Fallout's. I mean, they've taken over the mantle and they've done a great job with Fallout, but Elder Scrolls, that's birthed from BGS. That's a BGS creation, and then taken off to the next level with Skyrim. So to see a Skyrim 1.5 or a Skyrim, by Obsidian, and for them to knock it out of the park, but. I want to go back to what you were saying about uh the art style for Avowed.
Yeah.
And I'm somewhere in a somewhat similar camp with you. But it's for a different reason. When I looked at the trailer, I was just okay, so it's two camps. When I first saw the trailer, I looked at it and I went, that just doesn't look all that impressive. But then the more I watched it, the more I was like, okay, well, at least it looks like a video game. And
Yeah.
when I saw the
Yeah.
when I saw that first Avowed trailer, with it was all dark, like you said, and it had
Yeah.
it had a real atmospheric touch to it. But what was going on there looked nothing like a video game. And obviously you can create something dark and atmospheric and it still function like a video game. But I do you think they're trying to separate Avowed into kind of its own thing here?
I think that's what they've been told to do because I don't know if it was the first Pillars or the second Pillars game. It literally only turned a profit like 2 years ago. All
Wow,
the time
yeah.
it's been out like that was it had a huge Kickstarter funding. It's been on sale for a very long and it just didn't sell well. And it's an extremely good game, but it was also its design philosophy was very archaic because you saw it was a diverging path. You had Obsidian playing the safe route, and then Larian was like, we're going to make Divinity and we're going to actually make turn-based appeal to everybody. And everyone laughed at Larian for trying to be the outside the box thinking ideas guy, and look what they've done. They did an incredible work with Divinity. They knocked it out of the park with Divinity Original Sin 2. And then Jesus, Baldur's Gate 3 is like the hottest thing. Like the amount of
Um,
people that never touched it's like the Skyrim thing of where people have heard of it and have actually got into gaming because it's that good.
1000%. 1000%. So with Pillars of Eternity, you're not even seeing the name Pillars of Eternity
No,
anywhere
they want to
attached to it.
distance themselves from it, and it's so sad.
Okay. So yeah, I see exactly what you're saying. Yeah, you're just kind of more bummed out as a fan of Pillars more than anything.
Yeah, because they also left it on like the biggest cliffhanger ever in the second game. So it's
Oh,
like, yeah, it's like the first game wrapped up fairly well, and then they came out swinging with the intro of the second game. The middle of the game was kind of a little bit light, and then the very ending was like, okay, where are we going with this? And then they never elaborated on it, and then they were like, oh yeah, Avowed set hundreds or whatever thousands of years in the future, and it's like, guys, you have a story you never finished. Do you want to get back to that? But no,
yeah.
I'm just
I
one of the few fans that remember the game existed.
I feel you. Yeah. I can't lie. There's a part of me that I'm just really excited because I see a lot of Outer Worlds in Avowed,
Mm.
but I understand what you're saying, where it's like that's not what this is supposed to be if it's going to be attached to that brand. So yeah, I totally
I'll
get
be
what you're saying.
happy though and concede if it's a good game. That's the most important thing. If they come out and deliver and people enjoy it, then I'll just swallow my fan feeling and just be like, okay, guys, that's yeah, sure.
Yeah. I well, we'll have to see. Do you think and we'll move off this, but do you think it comes out in 2024? Are you confident in that?
But that's what I mean. I went out on a whim,
Yeah.
because this was an unconfirmed dates
Right.
list. Um, if I'm being honest, I don't, I don't know. I really
Okay.
don't know what's going on over at the game studios over at Microsoft because they're flip-flopping between. heavily delaying things. Then you have Hi-Fi Rush dropping out of nowhere with no announcement. Nobody even knew it existed. And then you have the camp of Starfield getting delayed and then releasing shortly after. So they're literally going down every possible avenue.
Yeah.
There's
I
no
think
consistency at the moment, and that's scary,
yeah. I
to be
do
honest.
it does feel like they're turning a corner, and I hope that Avowed and Hellblade can kind of usher in that new era as the two big 2024 games. But
Yeah.
I think that's a solid pick because I believe if it comes out it's going to perform pretty damn well. I would suspect at least. All right. On to my third pick. You went a little bit with the heart there. I'm gonna go with the heart as well. I'm gonna go with Plucky Squire. This hurt me last
Wow.
year. We haven't seen much on it. We just know it got delayed into 2024 with no window, no, real release date for 2024. It just has a 2024 window right now. But this game just looks to be, I feel like as soon as it comes out, as soon as people play it, everyone's going to kind of unanimously agree that this is magnificent. I just don't see how this game where you're jumping off the pages of a damn, of this like children's book. You're scrolling through the pages, fighting in a 2D style, and then jumping off of these pages into a fully 3D playable world. And just it looks incredibly ambitious. I have a feeling that, this will be one of those indie game of the year. And I mean, in 2024, hell, with this year being somewhat light, I could see this being in the big six, in the six nominees for game of the year. So yeah, my expectations are really high for this thing. It just looks absolutely incredible in my opinion, and I have to imagine it'll release this year. If it was scheduled or planning for a 2023 date, I have to imagine sometime in the next, in the next 365 days, we'll see the Plucky Squire.
Um, I mean, I'm not even gonna lie, that's not even on my radar. Like
Really?
I saw it on the trailer and was like, that's interesting. And then it's just completely gone.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
worried that maybe I don't know, maybe I'm just an outlier there.
No, well, I mean, you look at Little Devil Inside, and that game, incredibly ambitious indie title that we saw for years and years and years, and then just one day we never saw it again. So I mean, it's not like these things have happened in the past. And I mean, Little Devil Inside, we saw a lot of gameplay of that. It looked incredibly polished, or I shouldn't say incredibly polished. It looked incredibly ambitious, similar to the Plucky Squire. So
Yeah.
we'll see, but my hype level for the Plucky Squire is through the roof. I really would expect this to be like somewhere in the eights when it releases for sure.
Damn.
So
Fair
you
enough.
number
Fair
four,
enough.
man. What you got for number four?
Black Myth Wukong, I think I'll put in there
Oh, that's a solid
because
one.
I think it's meant to be like a Souls-like esque thing.
Yep.
And I thought I was like I'm a really big fan of obviously the genre, having played probably 90% of the things that have come out as either clones of the thing of the genre. I had no faith in Lies of P. I thought it was going to be a massive crash and burn, and I thought, man, Lords of the Fallen is going to eat that thing alive. I hated Lords of the Fallen. This is something I loved the original one as well. It came out in a time where people were still like completely shitting on clones of Dark Souls because it was like the golden child and you shouldn't be copying it. But like I really didn't get on with that remake, and Lies of P blew me away. Like it, if Baldur's Gate 3 didn't come out, I think Lies of P would have been my personal game of the year.
Wow. Wow.
Like
Okay.
that's how incredible that game was and how it completely blew my expectations out of the water. Because I went in and was like, it's probably just going to be another thing. And then it introduced mechanics, but it didn't, no mechanic introduced was intrusive at all. It was all extremely innovative and perfectly fit the game, and everything just hit. It
Yeah.
didn't do a single thing wrong, in my opinion. And that's crazy for a Souls like because usually like this is frustrating or that's kind of annoying. And it
Right.
just didn't. It just all clicked.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, I love to hear that. With Black Myth Wukong, you definitely see the Souls DNA transferred over into that game as well. But it looks quick. And that's the thing that when I see a quicker Souls like Thymesia that came out in 2021 or 2022.
Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed that game. Just I like the speed. I like the fast
Mm.
pace kind of blending character action and souls together. And Black Myth Wukong seems to have a lot of that on hand. My only hope, my only wish is that you can just pause the damn game. Let me pause the damn game. And that's
Yeah, I don't know why. So like I because we've had this conversation before. It
yeah.
in Souls it's because it has a constant online mechanic, but I think even then if you because you can launch the game in offline mode,
Right.
it should just be like okay, if you're launching it in offline mode, it'll be a completely you can just pause it.
Yeah.
Um
Exactly.
because it is I think even like did Lies of P allow you to pause? I can't remember.
No, I don't think
I don't
so.
think it did, and that kind of shocked me because I was like, "This is entirely single. What the hell are you guys doing?"
Yeah, it's like I don't know how people would be cheating using the pause button. And I mean, even if they did, like who really gives a it's a single player game. And
Yeah.
it's to me like it, that's the one big thing because with my job I'm just constantly having to answer my phone. That's the one big thing
Mm,
where if I can't pause a game, it's like I pretty much can't play it. So I'm just hoping to
yeah.
God Black Myth Wukong give me a pause button. I need a pause button, man. But it looks so good and it's got an official release date now. We got
Yeah.
August.
Yep.
So
And
uh,
hopefully it can just pick up a little bit of what Neo left behind because I really didn't click with what was the game that they released this year that
Wolong.
launched into game. That was it. I
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah, it just didn't. It felt like the things that they decided to do were just completely inferior to Neo in every way.
Well,
Pretty looking game, but no, just wasn't it.
you got my brain going, man. Um, uh, do I? Okay, no. I'm being silly. Let's not even venture down that. I'm going with Tekken 8. Yep, this is 100% purely a this is a brain pick, not a heart pick. I am excited for Tekken 8. I haven't played a Tekken game since the PlayStation 1 days, and even then I was barely a sentient being. I didn't know what the hell was going on with the Tekken games back in the day. But I got into Mortal Kombat this year. I got into Street Fighter this year. I really loved the story of Mortal Kombat. Was hit or miss with Street Fighter for me, but I thought I actually just like playing fighting games. Like it's just a really relaxing, like a fighting game with a good story, being able to turn off my brain for a little bit and just solely focus on like those mechanics and not really have to pay attention to stats and upgrading and this and let me
Mm.
paint my toenails so I can have a 0.2% better kick ratio. Like just let's go fight and then let's do some silly storytelling. And I don't know. I really vibed with Mortal Kombat story this year and Street Fighter 6 for the few hours I played of that. I had fun with that. So I am looking forward to Tekken 8. Definitely need to watch a recap video to understand what the hell is going on in this world. But visually, this thing looks magnificent. And yeah, it's just been a long time coming. It's been a long time that the Tekken fans have been without something. So I'm thinking that people who go in to review this are probably going to review it pretty highly. So I'm hoping for somewhere in the eights with this, maybe even cracking into the nines that might be pushing it, but somewhere in the mid to high eights is what I'm hoping for with Tekken 8.
It's a very dangerous pick,
You think
in
so?
my opinion, because I think on the single player side of the like Street Fighter, it's completely fine. It's the thing that knocks them down is their online component with the net
Hmm,
code and the if you don't have stable servers day one, that's gonna bomb the reviews
really?
big time.
Oh boy. Oh
So
boy.
hopefully they have that they have that down. Because yeah, what was it? Marvel versus Capcom. One of them games had really bad online at launch, and it never really recovered.
I should have did some damn research about that. I honestly didn't even think for a second about online, which is not an intelligent move, but
Because
it's
we're
locked
single
in.
player gurus, that's why.
Absolutely. Lone wolves, man. Lone wolves. But yeah,
But
I'm locking
yeah, I
it
didn't
in.
know that Tekken had been so long. I've never played a Tekken game before.
What was the last one? The
Never played
last one?
Tekken, never played Soul Calibur. I dabbled in like a tiny bit of Street Fighter, but it's always been Mortal Kombat for me.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat. That's always been my thing too. I like you said, I dabble a little bit back when I was real young. I would dabble a little bit, but I have no real knowledge about anything other than Mortal Kombat. And I really don't even have knowledge about that. But yeah, Tekken 7 was 2015, so
Jesus
9
Christ.
years by the time that Tekken 8 launches.
I mean, that just, it's sad, isn't it? Because it's just become more and more the norm. I think they predicted that it's going to be 17 years before we get a new Fallout game, no Elder Scrolls game.
God, you mean
And
from
it's
like
like from when it released.
Lee Fallout 4 2015? So I mean,
So
we're
yeah, because
already
people don't really count 76 because
right, of
it
course.
wasn't, it wasn't it, Chief.
Yeah. All right, man. We're on to your number five pick. What you got for me, man?
I gotta go Space Marine too. I think it's gonna be they're on a hot streak
Yeah.
um with Warhammer properties. Like you had the Total War franchise, which kind of jolted it back to life with Warhammer Total War. There was another RTS, I can't remember, Storm something, which did okay. I'm kind
Yeah.
of shocked that Rogue Trader reviewed so badly, but I'm not at the same time because it's an incredible. I literally just picked it up today as well, um, to give it a little bit of a dabble. I think it because it released alongside Baldur's Gate, it took the hit, and then it's just an Owlcat game, so it's just buggy as hell day one. And it's just like, for God's sake, guys, you do this every single time. You make some of the best CRPGs, but your games are arse day one. Like just take the hit and like delay it 6 months and just get this shit right because I was so excited for Wrath of the Righteous on console. Buy it, pre-order it day one. I'm like, yeah, let's go. And then you load it up, and it's like I can only basic attack because your skill menu doesn't work.
Yeah.
How are you like it? It's crazy. It'd be like loading up Skyrim and not being able to select spells and shouts, and then being like, yeah, you can just swing your axe, and it's just like, oh, come on, guys. But
Yeah.
Space Marine 2 injecting some of that like bro shooter back is what we need. We need like
Absolutely.
Gears of War is like asleep at the moment. Like where the hell is it? Space Marine 1 was really fun. I enjoyed the hell out of it, and it didn't sell very well because Gears of War was peak at the time. So now there's no Gears. This might just edge its way into that camp and be like, here you go, guys. Have
Yeah.
some just dumb fun. It doesn't always need to be serious, incredibly deep RPG. Just give somebody a massive gun that shoots 40 millimeter explosive rounds and just watch it explode aliens. Like, just have fun.
Totally, man. And I mean, I loved Evil West so much in 2022, and this seems to kind of scratch that itch. So even for me, I don't know
Mm,
anything about Warhammer at all, but like even for me, just from a gameplay, stylistic, visual, just everything about Space Marine 2, it appeals to me other than my lack of knowledge with, the franchise. But hell, man, like you said, if it's not that deep, if who really cares? Just go and have some fun in a bro shooter, third person shooter,
yeah.
incredibly gory, incredibly brutal. Absolutely, it
That gets
looks.
bonus points in your camp as well because you love the gore.
Oh, yeah, sign
And
me
it's
up.
going to be very gory. I can guarantee that. And it's great because you don't need to have a lot of information. It's an extremely deep narrative and lore that you can go down that rabbit hole, but it's also completely accessible where it's just like you know that you just need to know that they're big hulking space marines and they hate anything that isn't a space marine and they will just crush it.
You know,
That is
I
it.
yeah, I think I'm in. I think I'm gonna check it out. I might just watch like a little recap for Space Marine 1 and just jump right in, man. Because it, like you said, it just it appeals to everything that I like about video games. So yeah, I think I'm in for some Space Marine 2. Number five on the Team Ramblers. Speaking of speaking of very deep narratives, let's go with Hellblade 2. Um, this
Interesting.
I man, I worry about it. I'm not gonna lie, I worry about it. I worry about if it's gonna hit 2024. I feel like it has to at this point. It's been talked about, discussed, revealed, pulled back, revealed again. Like this thing has we've known about it for so long. And that last look we got at the Game Awards made me a lot more confident that the gameplay was going to be freshened up, cleaned up. I'm hoping that the puzzle solving's cleaned up quite a bit as well. And yeah, we know that I imagine the narrative is going to hit in the same capacity that the first one did. But the reason I never finished the first game is just because I thought the gameplay was tedious in my opinion.
I'm
Um,
right there with you. Never finished it.
yeah, and it wasn't necessarily the gameplay, just the puzzle solving. I was like, damn, man, this is really,
Very,
really boring.
yeah, very tedious. It's simplistic and it didn't feel rewarding as well. It just felt like an extreme slog to just
Yeah,
get through. Like it was cool the narrative beats that it tread on, and gaming has an obsession with exploring mental illness, and they always seem to review well them games.
yeah.
And it was like this is definitely intriguing, but every other aspect of the game, you can just feel that it was heavily underbaked. The combat didn't, it wasn't as good as it could have been. The puzzle solving was very bare bones, but it had interesting ideas with you obviously picking things out of the environment, but it became tedious at the same time. It's a very hard line to balance.
And the really weird thing is that's Ninja Theory. Like combat is what they excel at historically over everything else. And I don't know, something about that just feels so weird where Hellblade 2, it's like this is a gameplay centric studio for their entire lineage. And now the worst thing about their biggest breakout hit is the gameplay. So so bizarre. But the thing that gives me a little bit of hope is that okay, this is a gameplay centric studio. So hopefully with this increased budget, that can be, improved drastically for Hellblade 2. So that's where my hope is at. This, similar to you earlier, this is more of a heart pick for me than
Mm,
a brain pick. With Tekken 8, that's a brain pick, so I had to go with a heart pick for Hellblade 2 at number 5.
fair enough. Oh, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel. No, that's not true. It's just I know these games aren't going to review well as well. Like
Yeah,
they speak to me, and it's just like I want to win.
I feel you.
But I can't pick that. That's just bad. Um, what did I pick last? Space Marine. That's a fairly that's locked in. Do you know what? Sod it. Stalker 2.
There you go.
It's
I
got to
was
come
waiting.
out. It's got to come
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
Like
that'll be out.
political issues aside, that push that to one side. Like it's been in development for so long. Um, it needs to just. I think it would just be better if they got it out the door, even if it's in an underbaked state.
Yeah.
Because the original Stalkers were very, very ambitious and revolutionary at the time, but they also just ran like crap. So like, it's not going to be anything new to be like, this needs patches because this that you know they were patching the original games up to fairly recently before they announced it. So I
Yeah.
think it's just get it out.
Yeah.
There's no Metro game on the horizon, to my knowledge.
That's a good
Perfect time.
point. Yeah, that's a really
Like,
good point. There's really not that like direct competitor
no.
to something like a Stalker right now. And obviously with the war in Ukraine and all that, they and it seems like they were hit really, really hard by
Mm,
that situation. And so it makes sense why it took so long, but I do kind of tend to agree with you where it's just like at this point, you know, eh, I think that the majority of people are going to be understanding if the game releases or even if it gets delayed further. Like, I think no matter what goes on with this game, I think people are going to genuinely or generally be understanding of the situation, with the circumstances regarding the development of the game. But I mean, from what we've seen of it, I mean, it seemed like it was pretty deep in development. We've saw quite a bit of this game multiple times. So like I
Mm.
would have to assume that it's right there on the horizon for a launch. And I mean, it's supposed to launch Q1 2024, right?
Yeah, very early. It also has, like you said, people are going to be forgiving of it. It's launching day one into Game Pass. Like, I know that can be a double-edged sword. It can also kill, like Atomic Heart, for instance, where it really lost a lot of steam because of how badly publicized it was. But they also obviously have, like you said, with the political side, that as a buffer shield. But just
Yeah.
just get it out there, man. Like Microsoft are gonna clearly give you the big bucks.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's the age of put it out, patch it later. You get away with it.
Unfortunately, that is absolutely correct, man. Um, Number 6 for me, you talked about him earlier. I'm gonna go with Rise of the Ronin from Team Ninja.
Mhm.
As you mentioned earlier, the developers of Neo 1 and 2 and Wolong. And I am hoping this is more leaning into their Ninja Gaiden lineage and a little bit more action-packed, a little bit more fast-paced once again. And I read that it was supposedly going to have branching narrative decisions where you could make dialogue choices and shit, which is, I mean, as far as I'm aware, that's never been featured in a Team Ninja game before. So
That,
it,
that'll be interesting.
yeah, I mean, this could very much be it could that's a slippery slope that might not turn out too well for the team. I know that's a very difficult thing to include into a game that already is, difficult to develop. Like the Souls-like genre is not easy to execute on flawlessly, as we've seen many attempts kind of be on the underwhelming side, but Team Ninja does seem to kind of consistently uh have success in that genre to some degree, to I should say to
Mm.
varying degrees. But with this being a little bit more accessible and with this being, I think, an open world with different methods of exploration and some shooting going on, this just looks more appealing to someone like me. And I think that I hope. Ooh, actually, bad problem. I believe it's launching the same day as Dragon's Dogma 2, if I'm not mistaken. So that will absolutely cannibalize Rise of the Ronin. So it should probably
I
move out a
don't
little bit.
know. I don't know actually.
Really?
Maybe. I re I really hope. I'm sorry, Razor, but I really do hope it does, because I'm wanting this to be like I said, where I mentioned the near thing of where near on the 360 dropped and it didn't, and then Near Automata come out and it absolutely killed it. And I
Yeah.
want this to be the case with Dragon's Dogma 2. If they have to stand on top of Rise of the Ronin's head and dig their heels in, I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to take the hit, Rise of the Ronin.
I feel you, man. I feel you. I'll definitely be playing Dragon's Dogma 2. Uh, yeah, I'll probably play Dragon's Dogma 2 before I play Rise of the Ronin. I I don't know actually. There's a part of me that it'll depend on how soulsy Rise of the Ronin is. If it's like just if people are saying it's straight up 100% souls to the core, then I'll be like, all right, yeah, I'll check out Dragon's Dogma 2 first. But if it's a little less soulsy, a little more Ghost of Tsushima-esque, hell yeah, sign me up for some
Yeah,
some Rise of the
that's
Ronin.
a point. If they do go down the Ghost of Tsushima route and heavily get influenced off of that, ease off the souls, it might eat Dragon's Dogma alive, unfortunately. It's
I don't.
scary.
Yeah, I don't think so, man. I think that this is definitely a number two player. If on that launch day, I don't think there's any way Dragon's Dogma 2 is gonna be the inferior game in terms of probably critical reception and commercial success. So I Rise of the Ronin, I do think it's facing an uphill battle, but it looks pretty cool. Yeah, I'm confident that it'll at least be mid high sevens, low eights.
Mm,
On
fair
to your
enough.
number seven, man. What you got?
Oh, the list. Um, hmm.
I will say before you pick, there's one game that I'm really, and we'll save the conversation till after the list, but after we go through our 10 and our alternates, if we don't pick it to discuss it. But there's one game I'm really curious to talk with you about in a little bit that
Okay.
I find it funny that neither of us have picked it with it being confirmed for 2024.
Do you is it do you think it will review well? Just that one question, or do you think it's gonna bomb?
That's the biggest question I have. Every sign in the world from a historical perspective leans towards this should
Okay,
review
I
really
know,
well.
I know what you're. I think I know the thing. I'm
Okay.
saving it for my alt. I think.
Okay. Okay.
I hope it's the thing, because if it isn't, I have no idea what you're talking about. But I will pick Banisher's Ghosts of New Eden,
Great selection.
and if it can even just come even remotely close to Vampire, I'll be happy with that. I know it's probably going to review poorly, very low, probably sevens. But man, did you play Vampire?
Yep, I played probably about half of the game
I
or
never
so.
finished it.
Yeah, I never finished it. But I loved the hell out of what I played
And I
of
just
that
clicked
game.
with it. Like anything, this is why I was so disappointed with Red. Anything vampires just immediately gets a thumbs up from me.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm a little bit more skeptical this time, as I don't think there's going to be any vampires. But I think they've got something going there. Like they had that. So this is Don't Nod, right?
Yep, don't nod.
Life is Strange didn't really click with me. The entire series, it never really. It was like, okay, that's cool, interesting things, but it never held my interest. And then Vampire came out, and I was like, they're really making like an RPG, and they did really well with what they did. Cool
Totally.
mechanics, decent combat. So if they can get close to that, I'll be happy with it.
Totally, man. And I think that, the thing with Banishers is that it has a lot of that kind of Witcher style going on for it. And that's a double-edged sword because you're immediately asking to be compared to one of the greatest games of all time with The Witcher 3. Just from a stylistic perspective and, being a third person action adventure, action RPG, whatever you want
Yeah,
to call it, with decision making. And it's asking for those comparisons. But if it has a decent combat system, I'm pretty sure that obviously the branching choices aren't going to be able to hit on the level of a Witcher or a CD Projekt game or anything. But I don't know. It's one that I'm definitely going to pick up just because of how much I enjoyed um Vampire or Vampire.
mm.
And so yeah, I'm there day one on it, but like you said, I am I'm a little bit concerned of how it will perform for sure.
It's extremely interesting that you mentioned The Witcher because obviously they have so many projects in the work. None of them are releasing this year, are they? Or confirmed to be.
That's the thing is like I would assume no, but like you said, there's
But they
so
have so
many.
many of them. Like, when are you going to start kicking them out the door? You don't want to double up in the same year with an IP because that's dangerous.
Yeah, you don't. We've seen Square do it so many times, and it never works out well when you're dropping games right on top of each other. So you would have to imagine that at least something, one of those Witcher spin-offs or remakes or whatever, is somewhere close to
Mm.
release. But yeah, not totally
But
confident in that.
Banishers is early release, right? Early year,
Yeah, it's
February-ish.
February. Yep.
So yeah, that's no sweat then. But if they had a Witcher project lined up for early, they would have announced that at the Game Awards. They would have capitalized on that and been like, "Here you go, guys,
Totally. Yeah.
eat
So
this."
exactly. So you at least know you're getting a score for Banishers. It might be a red fall score, but you're getting a score.
Uh, oh Christ! Don't give me a red full score.
All right. So for my seventh pick, I oh man, I am really to the point now where eh, I you know what? Let's go with it. And you can correct me if I'm spelling this horribly wrong. I'm sure I am. Metaphor Refantasio. We'll just assume that's the correct spelling. But Metaphor Refantasio, the Atlas title, the next big new IP from Atlas, really the next big game from Atlas. You got the remakes, but the next big like new thing that they are cranking out, and it's supposed to hit in 2024. We saw a little bit more gameplay at the Game Awards, the pre-show that looked really good. It had a slightly action slant to the combat, which was intriguing to me. More dark story. Just seems like a harder hitting, more mature story, and that is compelling. It's just interesting to see this team who has historically, made Persona titles and worked inside of that universe go off to something different. But they've constantly had extreme critical success, so I'm expecting this to definitely be high eights, low nines if it comes out.
You think it'll be all that different to Persona? Because I won't lie, I missed this. I didn't see the Game Awards. I fell asleep. I only caught the last 30 minutes of it, and that's like the first time in like years. Like I'm usually there on the dot because I think we're both big fans of the show.
Oh yeah, love the show.
Like all the criticisms that it gets, it's like I don't care. It's like video game Christmas, guys. Stop
Yeah,
complaining. But I've
I
just looked it up, and it looks very similar to Persona.
oh, art style wise, no doubt about it. And even,
Um, Even
the
like the toolbars and everything
yeah,
looks very. Mm.
the
But if it is the same as I think it will land fairly higher reviews. So that's at least the thing.
that's just what I was about to say is
Yeah.
if it's a slightly darker persona, I don't think people are going to be too mad whatsoever about that. Just having a new IP it doesn't have the persona name, but it has a lot of the makeup of a persona game with a darker story, then yeah,
Yeah.
I think people are gonna
It's
jump all
just
over it.
it's just one extra. It's just strange that they've gone and done it again, if that makes sense. Because Persona wasn't. It was Shin Megami Tensei that kicked the series off, and then Persona was a spin-off. Then
Right.
Persona took over and became the crown jewel.
Yeah.
It seems very strange that you're now going to bring in something that's literally the same. So you got three, and now they're going to be fighting over each other.
Right.
If you're going to make it a series, because Shin Megami Tensei fans are already fairly like annoyed that they've been pushed to the side, and now you're going to tell me that they could technically be third place. That's just cruel.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. And
What are you doing?
yeah, and the way that this is being marketed so far, you might be correct in that assumption that Shimigami might be third place because this seems to be getting a pretty big marketing push.
Oh, Christ. Or maybe they're just keeping Shin Megami for Switch, is my only. Maybe that's what they're doing. And then these other two for the other consoles. Who
Yeah,
knows? Who knows with
Switch.
Atlas?
Yeah, a Switch 2 launch title, Shimigami. I mean, that'd be sick. I think Metaphor is coming to Game Pass day one, if I'm not mistaken. So just
Oh, I'll be
immediately.
there then.
Yeah, I think I will too, actually. And I'm not a fan of the Atlas games really, but I'm curious to check it out just with the whole new IP angle, a little bit darker. I'm interested, no doubt.
Will you be trying out P3 Reloaded? Because
No,
you've no, really?
nah, it's
Why not?
it just really not my style of game. I played a little bit of Persona four or five, and it didn't really appeal to me all that much. But it, no doubt, it's one of those things where it's not, I don't ever have the like I'm not I understand what people like about things even if they're not for me. You know what I mean? Like I'm interested in checking something out, seeing if it'll click with me. And then if it doesn't, it's just like, okay, that's not really for me, but I recognize its greatness.
Okay. It's just interesting because you said darker tones and everything, and the third game is all about coming to terms with like and accepting death. It's an extremely dark story in compare like Persona 5. This is why I don't really click with it because it's a lot lighter hearted
Hmm.
and very bright, colorful. The colors are being rammed down your face constantly, and a lot is over designed. But yeah, Persona
Well,
3 is very, very dark.
I get, here's the thing. Here's my big thing is and I know that listen, turn-based games, I understand that people love them. I just never grew up with turn-based games. So going
Okay.
and playing a turn-based game now, to me, here's the thing. If the story is incredible, I'll deal with the turn-based combat. But if the story is incredible and it's also 100 plus hours of me having to deal with the turn-based combat, it's very likely that I'm gonna end up putting it down. Is
Okay.
Persona 3 still in that lineage of 100 plus hour story?
I think I finished Persona 3 with a mild bit of grinding, like the 30-hour mark, 40-hour mark.
Okay, well that might be doable. I might check it out. I might check it. I'm not 100% confident, but I might check out Persona 3. With it being on Game Pass, depending on what else launches around it, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
But we are now on to your eighth pick,
My
Mr.
eighth
Looney.
pick, Greedfall 2. I'll
Ooh,
go back for back on these reminiscent of Elix style RPGs where they're not heavy budget, heavy hitters, but by God, are they fun. And Greedfall 1 was amazing. Spiders have finally found their footing of balancing their awkward jank and actually making an enjoyable game.
I loved
So I
that first
think,
game.
well, Greedfall.
I loved that first, yeah,
Mm,
Greedfall 1, man. That was like that perfect time when BioWare was really going through the ringer with EA, having them make
yeah.
damn Anthem and all that garbage. And then we get this slight throwback to the golden age of BioWare. Obviously, like you said, it had some of that Eurojank in the mix, but I just appreciated the hell out of what Spiders was trying to achieve there in an era where we were truly in a drought for games like this. And
Mm,
yeah, man, I'm really excited for Greedfall 2. I hope we can see something of the game. I was assuming that, it was supposed to come out in 2023. So I was like, okay,
yeah.
I figured it wasn't going to come out, but I was like, okay, we'll at least see more of it. We didn't see anything of this game. So that definitely has me
I think they've never really like the Greedfall was the complete outlier in their IPs. They never heavily marketed anything because before
hmm,
Greedfall they did the Technomancer. Did you
right.
play that?
No, but I know what you're talking
Pretty
about. And then they did the
pretty fun. Because it was also one of them things where it was a sequel, but they completely rebranded it because it was a sequel to Mars Warlogs, is what it was
yeah.
called, an old 360 arcade game, which is
Yeah.
essentially the exact and it every release they've done from Warlogs to the Technomancer to create, it's always been a really good step in the right direction. So I'm not
Yeah.
worried about Greedfall 2 at all. I think even if they just ever so slightly improve things, that'll do it for me. That's all I need.
I wonder if if their work on boo, I'm drawing a total blank. Their Souls game that came out last year. What the hell was the name of that game that they put out last year? It had like the robot doll things that you were fighting. I'll look it up. It
Lies of P,
no, it was hold on. Let
Robot
me
Dolls.
That's probably a horrible explanation for
That was
for the
a
Steel Rising. My bad, Steel Rising.
Oh, yeah, they did make that, didn't they?
Yep. Yep. That was last year. And it did not review all that well, but I wonder, like you were saying, the combat just a little bit rough around the edges. I'm wondering if that those lessons learned by making a combat focus, like nothing but combat style game. I wonder if that can be
Yeah,
transferred over in some way to Greedfall too.
I would have probably 100% agreed with you there if I feel like some of it was deliberate as well because all of it was robots. So it had a reasoning to be a little bit stiff
Yep.
in the movement department. It was very it was a Souls-like, but it was heavily emphasized on you need to make deliberate decisions because you also your stamina bar had like a do you know like the Gears of War active reload thing? You have to do like the quick time event.
Yep.
It had something very similar to that for your stamina bar. So it's why it also didn't click very well with people because when you're getting absolutely slammed by something that's like 70 foot tall kicking your teeth and you don't really want to be doing a
Yeah.
quick time event
I,
equivalent.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying there. So I mean, hey, if the game was supposed to come out in 2023 and it didn't release in 2023, that would at least lead you to believe that it's on track for 2024. Just hoping to God we see something about that title sometime soon.
Yep.
All right. So eighth pick for me. I I feel like I'm really going against my heart on almost all of these picks here. You took the victory from me last year, so I have to be a little bit more strategic going into 2024. Um, Man, there's one that I really want to pick, but it's such a heart pick. I know it's not going to come out in 2024. Oh boy. What? Okay, hold on. What do I have here that will likely get delayed out of 2024? Hellblade 2 potentially, Plucky Squire potentially. That's probably it. Maybe Metaphor, but I would say Hellblade 2
I
and
think,
Plucky.
yeah, them two and Metaphor because what with P3 Reload coming out, you know that that's definitely releasing.
Yeah.
It's got the collector's editions all up on Amazon ready for pre-orders and everything, which I'm eyeing up. I've not
Yeah.
seen anything on Metaphor, to be honest. I don't know. Did it get a confirmed date or was it just saying like a soft
I think
2024?
I think it just says 2024 for the time being. I could be
Yeah.
incorrect on that, but I think it's just saying 2024 for the time being. So yeah, if I have three games that are potential. All right. Let's go with a January title. Prince of Persia, uh The Lost Crown, I believe is the name of it. Prince of
Yeah.
Persia.
The Lost Crown. That was on my list. I didn't want to pick it.
Listen, I mean, like you said, we're 2024 it's light. It's undeniably light and if I do end up running into a situation where I have Plucky Squire, Metaphor, and Hellblade 2 all delayed, I need to make sure I get some points on the board there. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, the 2D Ubisoft title,
Mm,
and it seems to have some of that Sands of Time energy in it, just aesthetically. But I will say from the previews that I've heard of this game, that I've heard people talk about, their experience playing it, I have heard almost unanimous praise for it. That
okay.
doesn't that doesn't necessarily translate to reviews. Obviously, previews are kind of a
Yeah.
curated specific experience where you're playing one level, two levels or whatever. But January release, I need points on the bird, points on the bird, points on the board. Prince of Persia: The Last Crown. That'll at least get me some points.
What do you think it will land at?
Oh man.
Because like
I
Ubisoft really haven't been hitting. Like I thought Mirage would have got a few more points than it did, and it really didn't.
Yeah. I If it gets a 76, I'll be happy.
I predicted 75. So
Oh,
close.
really?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
thought we were still doing the numbers, so I've got all mine all have numbers.
Oh man, my bad, dude. Yeah, 70, 75, 76. That range, that would I'd be satisfied with that. Anything above that, and I'd be over the moon. If it cracks in the eights, I'm gonna be jumping for joy.
Yeah. I don't even I'm shocked that it's a series they've even bothered bringing back, to be honest, considering they sacrificed it so easily. Like it's not like it was in a bad spot, really.
No, and I mean, what the hell is going on with that Sands of Time remake? That was such a weird situation where that game was supposedly about to launch,
Yeah,
and
and
then
then they
they
were like, nope.
right. Yeah, I mean that is not usual at all. So
Oh
who
well,
knows?
it is usual for Ubisoft. They don't want to release anything good. That's why we haven't got Beyond Good and Evil 2 yet. They don't want to give us something good because then we'll expect them to keep making something good.
Such a heartbreaker, man. It's such a heart. I really love Ubisoft. I love a lot of Ubisoft games. I really,
Mm.
really do. I have a soft spot for Ubisoft, but it's undeniable that they just as a company, they just make weird decisions. But here's the thing. I will say single player Ubisoft games, like single player centric Ubisoft releases, they're usually at least okay. At the very least okay. So
Yep.
I'm hoping for at the very least okay with the Lost Crown.
Number nine. Oh.
Yeah, we're at the point now
Uh,
where we're definitely making some risky plays. So
Ayuden Chronicles 100 Heroes is what I'll go for. Number nine.
oh
This
my
is just a it's an
God.
easy pick. It's a Game Pass Day One JRPG. Can't go wrong.
I can't I'm probably spelling this incredibly wrong.
Nope, you
Uh
spelled that right.
nice. Um I can't believe I forgot about this title. That dude, that bums me out so much. That is such a good pick. Dude, you might get on the board here like high, very high eights potentially.
Yeah, I'm hoping it just gets received well because what I've also noticed, however, is again with the double-edged sword uh, comparison, it's Game Pass really can either help or break a game, and JRPGs are very niche. They're finally getting traction again on Xbox, so I just hope that it gets enough traction
Dude,
and does
I'm
well.
I'm looking over our lists here. You were about to stomp me in 2024. This 2023, I thought this is about to be a bloodbath because oh man,
You
you know
can
what?
take Suicide Squad if you like.
I will pass, sir. Golly, you got a stacked squad, dude. Dragon's Dogma 2, P3, Avowed, Wukong, Space Marine 2, Stalker 2, Uden Chronicles. Like, that is that's loaded, dude. Yeah,
I'll just tick Suicide Squad because neither of us are taking that. Oh
all right.
my God.
So, do you have anything else you want to add about Uden Chronicles? I totally cut you off there.
Oh, I never played because they released a 2D. I don't know
Yep.
what it was kind of like. I never played it. I bought it and was like, yeah, I'll play this, and it looked interesting. Just never got around to doing it. But if it can be even remotely close to like how enjoyable Octopath was, I'll be happy with that.
Yeah.
Because I'll probably dip my toe in and probably won't finish it, knowing me. Because like you said, these 100+ hour RPGs are so like I've really enjoyed Baldur's Gate. I've played like 12 hours of them since it's dropped,
Yeah.
and it's just like I just can't fit the time in, guys.
Yeah,
Like I
that's my
want to
thing.
digest you, but Jesus Christ, you're so big.
Totally, man. That's my thing too. Unless it's like a Rockstar title or a a Starfield or a like there are very specific games of Witcher where I can dive into 100 hours, but I rarely go above 50. 50 is like I'm capped out. And then even games like we talked about earlier with Persona when I know they're going to be 50 plus hours, I'm just like, all right. let me save the frustration and not even jump into this experience because I like finishing things when I start them, but
Yeah.
yeah, I just 100 plus hours is a tough commitment. And an even tougher commitment is once again going with my head over my heart. Going with Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. This is a very boring pick. But I will say it looks like they've made some significant or somewhat significant changes to that format where we're going to be doing more like actual missions where you're going around and search and
Yeah.
rescue and maybe even some racing. I don't I could be completely wrong on that, but I felt like I remember seeing some sort of racing or time trials or something in that trailer. So
No,
yeah,
that's a good pick. Because the first, whatever came to Game Pass, it was incredibly ambitious and had a really cool vision. It's just that thing where it fell into the category of a dad game, of where like
yes,
it's so complex and it has so many bells and whistles, but for the normal person like me, I booted it up, flew from my nearest airport over my house, and then was like, huh, okay, and then just deleted it
yeah,
'cause
totally, man. Yeah, so I mean, opening up, being a little bit more approachable to people who just like video games and not just the, like you said, the dads out there who want to fly around. Yeah, I think that there's something here that could hit in just in a different way, and that's what I'm banking on. Plus, I mean, I think the game that came in 2020 or 2021, I believe that was like in the nines. So it's
yeah,
going to perform well. There's really no doubt about that. But it's just once again, this is a brain pick and not a heart pick. So Microsoft Flight Sim for me for my number 9 selection in the 2024 video game fantasy draft. So we are at number 10. We still got our two alternates, but we are down to our last lock it in pick. And the alternates only come into play if one of these games are delayed. So we got to choose wisely here. Team Looney, you are on the clock with your final lock it in selection.
I think I'll pick a genre that I've not dipped into
All right.
up to now, and that'd be Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown.
Okay.
Big, big fan of Unlimited 2. Back on the 360, put a lot of time into not only driving around each road, but man, that casino DLC.
Was it
Losing lots of chips, trying to get trying to get a very, very good looking Audi that was on that show floor. But yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be good.
It's
It's
open
been
world, right?
so, yeah. I think they've seen how the Horizon series has kind of gone and gone, we kind of did that first, but not to that extent. They heavily went down the more, I wouldn't say I guess it is kind of life sim because you'd buy a house, you'd race, you'd compete for licenses, and then you'd get more houses because the bigger the more expensive the house, the more garage slots it had. And it had social aspects, like I said, with the casino and stuff like that. So if they can even just deliver what Unlimited 2 did, I think it'll be a good competitor because Horizon has not really had a competitor. Like Need for Speed doesn't really touch it. Um, Gran Turismo and the normal Forzas are way too sim. There's not really like a. I'm hoping they go a little bit more arcadey.
Yeah. I'm with you. This has piqued my interest. I mean, the crew also that came out this year, that
Mm,
was leaning into the Forza Horizon roots a bit more, and that one piqued my interest. Once again, it's hard to commit the $70, whereas with Forza Horizon 5, you jump into it and I sink 30 hours into it. But I would I have done that if it wasn't on Game Pass? That's kind of always the
yeah,
question. And it's just an uphill battle that a lot of these racing games face. But Test Drive does have like so its name holds at least some weight, and I wonder. It's been a while. So I wonder in 2024,
Yeah,
does that name value bring it into to prominence? Does that name value kind of uplift it into having a real solid launch? Really curious.
yeah. I think that test drive and Prince of Persia are going to be very similar in that reception. Wise, it's been so long since they've released any titles. It'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see which one does better of the two of them.
So my 10th selection, this is the game I was talking about earlier. I no, no, never mind. Nope, nope, nope. No. I'm locking in Crimson Desert. This looks ridiculous.
Ooh.
This looks ridiculous. Like this looks unbelievably ridiculous. That trailer that we got from Tokyo Game Show, Gamescom, wherever. We got a trailer for this, a 3 minute, 4 minute gameplay trailer that looked to be like one of the most ambitious games I've ever seen in my life. Now, that does bring issues with it. Do we have a Black Myth Wukong situation where we see the game, we get the reveal, and then we wait, quite a while until it actually releases? Does it get delayed out of 2024? It was supposed to come in 2023. It didn't meet that date. Will it meet the 2024 date? With a game this ambitious, I tend to probably skew more towards the side of likely no. It doesn't meet that date, but I can't do this draft and not select this game because if it does come out, I want that thing on my team. It could launch in a horrible, horrible state, but I don't care. If the potential, it's like, when you're drafting for your sports team, soccer, football, basketball, whatever, and you pick that player who you're not so sure if they're going to immediately out the gate be a star, but the potential is through the roof. And that's what I'm doing with Crimson Desert. The potential here on offer is ridiculous. I gotta have it on my team, even if it hurts me.
Yeah. Um, because this is their single player take on Black Desert, right? Which was the
Correct.
MMO.
Yep.
And I dabbled in a little bit of Black Desert, and it has really good concepts for it being an MMO. It's just extremely grindy, and I hope that
Mm.
they don't see it as, oh, we can monetize this kind of like what Ubisoft does in their like Assassin's Creed games and keep a lot of that grind in and put a little shop in there and sting people for a bit of money.
Yeah.
That's my only worry with Crimson Desert. But other than that, it looks phenomenal because Black Desert as an MMO looked phenomenal. It's some of the best visuals for an MMO.
Right. Right.
Very,
Yeah.
very good looking game.
And I would hope that, your concern, like I would hope that the reason that they created the single player game was to move away from the issues that players face in the MMO space and to try to step outside of that and make it more accessible. But, once again, like you said, that there is ways to egregiously monetize single player games as well. So it's just hoping that it doesn't fall into that camp either. But yeah, I mean, I gotta put it on the roster. The 10th
It
slot, gotta
it,
put it on there.
it might not even sting you either, because when you look back at this year and you see what Diablo 4 did,
Correct.
it still reviewed extremely well, even though the public reception was like, what the hell have you done? It's an
Totally, man.
MMO Diablo game. It's not really even a normal Diablo game. It's monetized out the wazoo because you saw that your mobile game did ridiculous numbers. So you took the concepts and just placed them in the game and was like, if some people don't, there'll be other people that will spend hundreds of dollars on these things. So
Yeah,
hopefully it's just not that case.
absolutely, man. Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm very, very, very much hoping for a rock solid launch with Crimson Desert. But we're down to our two alternate picks, and Team Looney, you were on the clock. What is going to be your first alternate selection?
What uh what creature did I say I was a very big fan of that always gets thumbs up?
What
We got
creature?
yeah,
Creature, creature,
he's
creature.
drawing a blank.
I'm drawing a blank here.
This this has had an extremely troubled development time, and that's a Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. And I think this is
Ooh,
a really good alt pick because if it doesn't get released, it doesn't do me any harm. And
perfect.
I'm really, really hoping it gets the reception that Dead Island 2 received.
Great comparison there with the very troubled kind of
Mhm.
development hell titles, and we with the combat we've seen looked okay from the re-reveal. Not much on offer with the branching narrative that I've seen from it. And I know that's kind of all that people really care about with the Vampire series is the
Because the
story.
combat in the original game was woeful.
Yeah, right.
It was so bad. Um, ah, I think they're just flipping it, if I'm being honest. I think they'll put the story on the back burner and focus more on combat, if I'm being honest, for this game, because it's a lot easier to sell people into a series that they may have not tried. Because if I'm remembering correctly, I'm fairly the first Vampire Bloodlines game was just on the PC. It didn't get any
Yeah.
console ports, I don't believe. So there's a huge following of people that know it exists but never got the chance to try it.
No, yeah, you're correct. It was only on PC.
So
And
if they
that's
can try and make it a little bit flashier in the combat department, it might just draw a few more people in. Is my thought process.
yeah. I think it's really that's an interesting pick. It's going to be interesting to see how that performs. But as an alternate, like you said, you're not really losing much at all. Um, my first alternate, and this is the game I was talking about earlier, Silent Hill 2. I I can't see how Bloober could mess this up. I can't see how they could mess this up. Like unless people are just going to put undue pressure for them to like refine combat to a level that's just not achievable by that team. But let's be totally honest. Silent Hill never had great combat.
No.
And if Bloober can just make mildly competent combat with the exact same story and follow the exact same beats, note by note, beat by beat, with Silent Hill 2, the original, with this remake, like I don't see how they could really fail. If they're just totally incapable of making combat in a game, then okay, I guess that's where, they're going to lose people. I feel like that's the only area they could lose people unless they try to change the story, which would be just wildly ignorant.
Yeah, I don't think I could have summed it up better. It's a strange one to give them the reins, to be honest, because I've not I've not been entirely like impressed with their portfolio. If I'm being honest, it's been a lot of yeah, that's okay, or oh, that's interesting. Like with the Medium was them, right?
Yep,
With that whole world swapping thing, and they did Observer, which was okay.
yep.
Um,
Layers of
but kind
Fear.
of yep. I okay, that's a serious. I don't enjoy that.
Yeah.
Not a fan of Layers of Fear.
Blair
But
Witch. I mean, yeah,
yeah.
they're pretty consistently middling,
Mhm.
and never really doing anything in the realm of combat. So
Yeah. So giving them a crown jewel such as Silent Hill 2 is baffling to me. Like
but I guess let me ask you this: who would you give it to? And I think that's really the part where I struggle as well, where it's like I agree, but what team could even do this, or what team? Because nobody even really messes in the horror space except Capcom with Resident Evil at this point, and now you're starting to see the
I
resurgence.
I think I have an extremely unpopular opinion,
Okay,
but I think Tango should have been handed it. You're not letting them do the Evil Within free for whatever damn reason that is, but by God, they would have killed Silent Hill 2.
that's a mic
But I
drop.
think they only didn't do that is because Microsoft would have been like, okay, then we want it as an exclusive, and that would have been catastrophic for the reception, I
Yeah,
believe.
That's dude, that's absolutely 100% the team. I don't know. That's like my favorite damn developer in the world right now. I don't know how I didn't think of that. That is absolutely positively the move. Silent Hill 2. And I mean, think about the reception in terms of you got KOTOR, the remake exclusive to PlayStation, historically an Xbox title, and then you go and get Silent Hill 2, the remake exclusive to Xbox, historically tied to and associated with PlayStation. Like that would have been just a great counterpunch. That's an excellent call.
Oh, I don't know what for an alt two. I've got one game left on my list that hasn't been picked, and I don't want it, man. I don't want it. I don't want it. But I don't know any other games that are coming out, so I'm gonna have to just pick it, and it's Alone in the Dark.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
It's that's I'm I want to play it, but yeah, I agree. It's a tough selection in terms of the reception because with it being delayed pretty consistently, with it just looking a little bit choppy in the moment to moment action, the gunplay, all that, it for sure something that I'm a little bit worried about. But it is at the end of the day I I don't think it's going to be held up to the same light as a Resident Evil or as a Silent Hill and judged with a fucking, a magnifying glass. Like I don't think it's going to be as scrutinized if it's just middling, but it's probably going to be just middling. I would agree with that.
Who's who's developing it?
I know it's an Embracer title, which
Oh, Jesus Christ.
which
Man, we had
definitely
so much faith in them. We had so much faith in capitalism. It's just blown up in our face. We both had was like, yeah, embrace so what could possibly go wrong for Christ's sake?
So it is being developed by Atari SE, formerly Inf Infogrames, a French studio. Let's see what they have worked on in the past. Okay, regardless, it's being developed by Atari SE and Embracer. It's an Embracer title.
Yeah, I don't have any hope for it, if I'm being honest. It didn't do anything for me, but I also don't have ties to the series. Like,
Yeah.
never played the originals. I think I played probably about 30 minutes of the 360 game and was like, what the hell is this? This controls like I thought the Resident Evil early games control like, oh, this is ridiculous. And then you flip the box over and then it's genuinely marketing and like the biggest font ever. You can skip parts of this game like a TV show to get to the end. Anyone can get, and it's like, you don't even want us playing this damn thing. What is going on?
Yeah, man, it was definitely yeah. The that 360 title was really rough, really rough. So we'll see if they can bring it back in a big way. I hope so. I just want the horror resurgence to continue, and Alone in the Dark is an OG. So, but my alternate two, staying in the horror realm, I'm gonna go with Pacific Drive. I know it's coming out. Just with Silent Hill 2 being my first alternate, that being something I'm skeptical of, even if it comes out, even if it releases in 2024. Pacific Drive, I think that's a February title, so at least I know it will come out in 2024, but I'm not confident in its how it will review whatsoever. But as long as it releases and takes the spot of one of these games that fails to release for me, then I'll be okay with that pick. Get
I
me a
dropped the ball with that.
with Pacific
I
Drive.
think yeah, on a swap.
Oh, yeah, just toss me a little toss me P3 Reload or toss me Ayuden Chronicles 100 Heroes. Yeah, I don't think you need to be doing any swapping, man. You got you a stack squad over there.
Man, no, that is a really interesting title. Even if it doesn't review well, you know it's going to be at least like a damn, that's interesting.
Right. At the very least, the game just looks like incredibly interesting. So, yeah, that is my final alternate selection, and that is the 2024 video game fantasy draft. Team Looney has selected Dragon's Dogma 2, Persona 3 Reload, Avowed, Black Myth Wukong, Space Marine 2, Stalker 2, Banisher's Ghost of New Eden, Greedfall 2, Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes, Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. His alternates are Vampire Bloodlines 2, Alone in the Dark. My selections are Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, The Plucky Squire, Tekken 8, Hellblade 2, Rise of the Ronin, Metaphor ReFantazio, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Microsoft Flight Sim 2024, Crimson Desert, Alternate 1, Silent Hill 2, Alternate 2, Pacific Drive. I think you have a squad, sir. It's they I'm dealing with the damn Monstars over here. This is going to be an uphill battle for sure. How you feeling about your draft process here?
Yeah, the only thing that can take me down is delays. I think if if a bunch of these just fall flat, like Stalker 2 is highly likely to probably get delayed. Greedfall 2 might get delayed. Test Drive's highly likely to probably get delayed. Avowed as well. And then it's like you don't get any points on the board then, because if my alts also get delayed, which Vampire probably will,
Yeah.
no one wants Alone in the Dark.
Out of mine, I think The Plucky Squire, Hellblade 2, ReFantazio, and Crimson Desert. I think Crimson Desert's probably a lock to get delayed. Um, Those are probably my most likely to be delayed as well. And then Silent Hill 2, I think that's fairly likely to be delayed. So I think we both have some high likelihood of getting some delays on the board here, and just in general not the strongest year. So we have a high likelihood of a couple of these tanking. Where did it go? Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, like maybe a Banisher's Ghost of New Eden. So it's going to be an interesting year. I'm definitely hoping that we hear some more announcements soon. Star Wars Outlaws is a big 2024 title. I guess you're in the same boat as me where you just don't think it's going to release.
No, I don't think that's got any chance of releasing.
Yeah, I don't think that has any chance in hell of coming out. I'm looking over the rest of my list here. Helldivers 2 is one I thought about. Visions of Mana is one that I considered. Little Nightmares 3. I really wanted to pick that one, but I don't think it has a specific locked in release at this point. But yeah, everything else on my list we have selected. So that's it, man. That's the 2024 video game fantasy draft. And actually, let's go ahead and to the 2023, just to give a quick recap to the people, because I don't, my brain barely works. Did we even recap to the 2023 draft?
At the beginning, I believe so.
Oh, okay, okay.
We had a
So,
little look.
all right, I swear to God, my brain is it's working on E at this point. But yeah, the 2023, just to give you all a quick recap, a quick look over, as you're watching on YouTube, you can see all of our selections here in the document. And yeah, well, actually, I actually have a better document for you all to look
While you're
at.
grabbing that, a question I'll also pose is, do you think that it's going to be like a disappointing year for releases, like it's going to be lacking, or do you think it's going to be filled with like shadow drops, like a Hi-Fi Rush kind of style thing, or do you think there's it's just going to be one of the weaker?
I tell you what, dude, I was really close to jotting Doom down on my list for games that'll come out in 2024. I do think you're right. I think we either get a Doom, I think we either get a man, dude, I swear to God, my brain is barely functioning today. Double Fine. Holy smokes. I think we either
Oh
get
yeah, yeah,
Double
yeah.
Fine is very much in the season two release, where id is very much in the season two release.
Mm,
I think Machine Games is probably a little bit closer with Indiana Jones than we expect. I think South of Midnight's probably a little bit closer than we expect. I think Xbox is going to have something that surprises us this year. I'm banking on either Doom, South of Midnight, or Double Fine's new game as a shadow drop, or not necessarily even as a shadow drop, but as a 2024 release that we're not
yeah.
expecting. But yeah, absolutely. I think that's a high likelihood that we see a couple shadow drops, but I think it's a higher likelihood overall that we're just in for a low year. We're in for a slow year. We came off a crazy year, so anything following up 2023 is going to be a little bit of a letdown. But I don't think we're in for like a 2014 level year. But I do think we're
Oh
in for a
God.
really, yeah, Dragon Age Inquisition
As much as
versus.
I like it as a series, that being like the thing that just flat out won Game of the Year was just like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I'll always say The Evil Within would be my game of the year for 2014, but I understand the Dragon's Dogma or Dragon, Jesus, my brain, Dragon Age Inquisition and Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor kind of went at it for the GOTY selection for that year. So yeah, I just don't think it's going to be that strong of a year. What are you thinking?
Um, I think it's going to be one of them leap years where it's just going to get skipped. I think it's going to be a fairly quiet year because they rammed a hell of a lot in last year, and the big hitters either don't have dates set, and it feels like they're just going to let them cook for the year because I don't think any of the big three had like an L last year. Like they at least released something that was perceived pretty well.
I think PlayStation
Like
had a terrible year, man.
I think they still did with like Spider-Man too, though.
Yeah,
Like it fell short of a lot of people's expectations, but it's still an Insomniac Spider-Man game.
have you seen that? I, and then I plan on talking about this in a future video. PlayStation does not have one confirmed single player first party title set to launch in 2024. Not one.
That doesn't surprise me at all because of the way that they've pivoted,
And then
the
now
way that
all their
they've
live service
shifted.
games
Yeah.
are being canceled. It's like round of applause,
Yep.
guys.
No, they've gone down the route of we'll throw 10 darts all at once and just hope one sticks to the wall. Because if one sticks to the wall, that will just be a cash cow. Because I think they're very worried about they focused so much on putting a spanner in the works of that Blizzard acquisition, which we all knew was just going to go through eventually. Like Microsoft aren't going to make themselves look like they have egg on their face. They will cut what they need to cut and do deals with what they need to do to force that through because they know that they don't really need to care about releasing anymore. They have cash cows now. They have WoW on PC that's just going to generate money. They have Candy Crush on phone that's just going to generate loads of money, and they have COD on consoles, which is just gonna they have every single avenue a cash
Yeah,
cow.
absolutely.
So they're
Absolutely,
like,
man.
we don't really need to be rushing into anything. We could delay all our titles for like 2 more years. Because they also released, which was really, really interesting, is that Game Pass is actually already making profit. All of their first party funding to go in for day one releases of like the third party stuff of like Plague Tale and everything. I thought they would have been taking hits still and maybe going a little bit into the red. They're killing it. They're absolutely killing it with profits.
So I wonder, okay, they're so that's accounting for all development cost, all
Yeah,
damn.
getting it
Okay.
in, getting it, and because it's with Sony saying we can't sustain this, that's not sustainable. We can't go down that route. And you think, okay, yeah, maybe they're right because Xbox is sitting here going, Lies of P, let's put that on. Plague Tale, let's put that on. All of these just dropping. Atomic Heart, Stalker, blah blah blah. All these titles that should have no right to go into a set, but they're just making so much back. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I
It's
really
absolutely crazy.
I would like to have a full rundown, a full breakdown of all of those stats because I can't
Mm,
lie. Like my initial reaction to Game Pass is just not unsustainable. I don't necessarily believe that. My initial gut reaction is always to be skeptical of it. Not,
yeah,
I don't have opinions of it one way or the other about like, because I'm not a financial analyst, you know what I mean? But like, I always think of, okay, if they're spending this amount of money, how in the hell is 25 million, active users paying 15 a month, which would be that's even a little high. How does that come back in the green? But like I said, I'm not a damn. I'm not a financial analyst, but I really wish we had, I wish they would share all those numbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I wish they would like publicly put those numbers out there so we could see everything because I
yeah,
am
because it was shocking. Because you think back of because that's the model that they're mimicking of Netflix, and Netflix was in the red for so many years,
exactly.
struggling to get that profit margin reached to the point where they had to then just scale back. But I think this also just goes to show how big gaming has skyrocketed. For that pandemic has done wonders for the people who had their fingers in the pie of gaming
Totally.
because they're making money hand over fist. It's crazy.
Yeah. 100%, man. I mean, I I am actually like I've never been an Xbox player, but until this generation, but I am very I'm on board with their vision for the most part. If their vision of what they're portraying to us right now, their public facing vision, if that is the behind the scenes, boardroom executive vision of high quality, consistent content to this service for $15 a month, like I'm not anti-subscription service at all. Even though I'm a physical collector, I'm not anti-subscription service at all. Because I love Blockbuster. You know what I mean? My thing is, if we're in this agreement together of you saying, okay, we're taking your $15 a month, and you're not going to be able to own anything. $15 a month, I'm okay with throwing that away in foregoing ownership of those titles in the immediate, and then picking them up later on a sale, or just even picking them up immediately in some cases. Like I'm
Yep.
okay with that vision that they have. And I mean, I think we're about to see the snowball really begin to roll downhill with the output of consistent high quality content quarter by quarter. And then 2024 looks ridiculously strong for Xbox. They're really the only first party of the big three that, in my opinion, looks to have a really, really strong 2024. We obviously know Nintendo will always have strong years, but Xbox looks to really, really be heading for something big in 2024. But just a quick recap of our 2023 draft here for the people at home to look over. Got the screen pulled up. I went with Jedi Survivor, Dead Space, Tears of the Kingdom, Final Fantasy 16, Hollow Knight Silk Song, Horizon VR 2, Forza Motorsport 8, Lies of P, Spider-Man 2, WrestleQuest, and my alternates were Redfall and Plucky Squire. And the first number that you see by each of the games is the score we predicted the games would get on Metacritic, and then the number beside it is the score that it actually got. So I ended up with a total of 831 points. And then Team Looney, they I got here. Octopath 2, Resident Evil 4, Warhammer Space Marine 2, Like a Dragon Ishin, Alan Wake 2, Diablo 4, Starfield, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Atomic Heart, Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader, Hogwarts Legacy, and Deliver Us Mars. And Team Looney came in with 856 points. So I honestly, I don't think that 2024 is going to be much different. I think you got a much stronger team than me in 2024 as well as you did in 2023. So I'm not going to throw in the towel just yet, but I think you got me for 2024. I think you might be a two-time back-to-back champion.
Well, let's hope.
Well, dude, I appreciate you for joining me here today for the 2024 video game fantasy draft. And yeah, any plugs you need to get out there? Any parting words you want to hit the good people with?
Let's just hope that 2024 is even just half as good as this year for gaming because it was just stacked. Like just just keep going on this upward trajectory and we'll be fun.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And yeah, I'm hoping for some shadow drops. I'm hoping for some showcases, some announcements, some stuff that we're not expecting to see pop up in 2024. We're looking a little light in the ass for the time being, but hey, I uh I'm hoping for some shadow drops as well, man. But appreciate you for joining me, my brother. It's always a good time chatting the video games with you. And yeah, I'll be seeing you back here in December of 2024 to hopefully hopefully take the crown from you, but probably to re-gift you the crown that you.
Put an extra jewel on
Yeah,
it.
it's to add another infinity stone to your gauntlet. But hell yeah, man, I
Yeah,
appreciate you for stopping by, brother.
it's been a blast.
Well, guys, that's it for the 2024 video game fantasy draft. I appreciate you good people for tuning in, and yeah, hit me in the comments down below. Which team do you think's going to take the victory? I think we all know, but hey, I tried my damnedest, man. I tried my damnedest. Team Looney is they come prepared. So yeah, appreciate you guys for stopping by. Click the subscribe, the like, the comment, all that shit helps the algorithm. Thank you all so much for checking out the content and checking out the channel. Have a good one, guys, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.